All right, you guys, welcome back in. We got One Piece chapter 1156. And I'm sorry to say it, y'all, but I am officially on Team Rocks. You know, I had to give it some time. I had to really let it sink in. But after this chapter, man, with all the heavy hitters, with all these personalities, I cannot help but be a Rocks Syvduck fan. It's inevitable, you know? It's just like how the sky is blue. I just became a Rocks fan overnight. Well, not overnight. It's been like 3 weeks in the making. But yes, this chapter is insane. I'm excited to talk about it. So hopping right into it, we do not get, unfortunately, the Yamato cover page. Oda. You know, last week, understandable. It's been a while since we've had a color spread. I get it, Oda. Yeah. Woohoo! Yeah, color spread time, right? But 2 weeks in a row? 2 weeks in a row, huh? We're skipping out on Yamato's journey right when it starts getting good? Right when Oda puts a mystery in front of us, huh? I see how it is. But to be fair, this color spread is even more amazing than last week's. I love the parallels here. You have Luffy and Roger, you got Sanji, Gaban, you got Rayleigh and Zoro, and then you have Nami, who is kind of just here. It's really odd, you know? I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, it's beautiful, it looks great. We have all these miniature Straw Hats all around Luffy, but for some reason, Oda makes Nami bigger than the rest, which, I mean, I guess, right? Nami is a pivotal character, but so are the rest of the Straw Hats, I could argue. It's funny looking at Roger's crew. I went through the list of all the Roger crewmates the other day, and Roger has 36 named characters on his crew, yet people only really care about maybe 4 or 5 of them, right? Like, could you name, right now, without cheating, could you genuinely name 10 members of the crew that are not Roger, Scopper, Rayleigh, and Odin? It's hard. I mean, sure, you got the Shanks, you got the Buggy, you got, if you want to get non-canon, you could even say Douglas Bullet, and then you even have Toki if you want to include her. But outside of that, like, good luck with the other 4 or 5, brother. You know, good luck with that. And that's just a third of his crew. So anyways, getting on to the chapter now, we start off in the past still. King Harold, Loki, Hiruden, nowhere in sight, brother. Don't forget, this is Loki's story. Loki's explaining to Hiruden exactly what happened in under 3 minutes, which I just think is hilarious. You know, when we started this flashback, Hiruden said, hey, Loki, you have 3 minutes, and then we're just gonna go up to the Sun Realm. Brother, it's been like 4 weeks. It's been 4 weeks, man. What are we doing? So we kick things off with the Kuja pirates of old. We see that back then, they were known as idols among pirates, which I'm not too sure what idols actually means, because when I hear of idols, at least, you know, in 2025, I think of K-pop idols, or I think of like boy bands or girl bands, and I'm like, wait, were they going around singing, or are they known as idols because they're just like supermodels? Both could be true. But either way, we have the Kuja pirates, and they're going around ransacking towns and defeating the guards. I want to put that all in quotation marks, not to underplay the Kuja pirates, because they are strong, they are powerful Amazon women, but at the same time, they're not exactly fighting anybody. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to these villages and these towns, and the guys aren't fighting back. Hell, Roger isn't even fighting back. Even the Marines, when we get them later in this chapter, they don't exactly want to fight either. So, have they ever struggled is it's a genuine question, right? It is a question to be asked. So, we see that their captain back in the past was, of course, Gloriosa, which is nice. I love seeing Gloriosa in her prime. One thing that is very unfortunate, though, is that we do know that the good times will eventually come to an end with the Kuja pirates, because Gloriosa gets picked up by Rocks Syvduck at a later date. We don't see Gloriosa a part of Rocks' crew by the end of this chapter, but we can assume that somewhere along the way, the Kuja pirates will lose in a Dave-back fight. Or at least that's my assumption, right? Of course, Gloriosa could just willingly join the Rocks pirates, but considering how she has a major crush on Roger, I doubt that's exactly what she had in mind. I doubt she'd want to join Rocks' crew over just joining Roger's crew or even just being a pirate on her own. So I do see a shakeup coming pretty soon. I don't know if we'll actually see it. It could just be something that we get time skip later on, like, hey, here's Rocks again, and boom, Gloriosa's just aboard his ship. So we go on, and we see that all the girls, of course, are fawning over Gloriosa because she's just so damn pretty. And we see that they even have fan letters. Unfortunately, though, Gloriosa is being overshadowed by her first mate, Shaki, or Shakuyaku, as they call her back in the past, which is awesome. Of course, hey, if I had to pick a team, I mean, Team Shaki all the way, brother. You know, Gloriosa's cute, but ooh, Shaki just does something. So yes, Shaki has 10 times the amount of fan mail that Gloriosa has, and we see that the lady who is bringing them the fan mail is, of course, Tritoma? Huh. That's funny. TCB translates her name to Tritoma, but I'm pretty sure she had a different name in the SBS. So this isn't the first time we've seen this character. Okay, I'm looking at it right now. The SBS calls her Toritoma. So I wonder if there's just like a slight translation issue there, or maybe she has both names. I'm not too sure. But yes, Tritoma or Toritoma, whatever you want to call her, she does finally make a canon appearance. And what's a little bit unfortunate about this character is that she's actually dead. She dies due to love sickness, right? Gloriosa escaped love sickness by going out to sea. Shaki escaped love sickness by going out to sea as well. But it looks like Tritoma, the little girl in this chapter, does just end up dying, which does make me wonder who she fell in love with and who didn't reciprocate that love. Like, this isn't that far back in the past at this point, right? We're still 44 years back, but by the time she becomes an adult, that should be within our generation-ish. So there actually is a decent chance we know the character that got Toritoma killed, if you want to word it that way, which is kind of weird, right? Love sickness. Who's really at fault for that? Do we place the blame on the person not reciprocating the love? Do we place the blame on the person with the sickness? Or do we just curse Amazon Lily because this is a reoccurring thing that goes on? Which I do wonder if they'll ever explain. Like, hey, by the way, guys, back in the Void Century, this was the first love triangle. And then because of this, it just kept on getting passed down for generations. Because I went back and I read the SBS just to, catch up on the Toritoma lore. Oda says that since ancient times, for some reason that they do not understand, the empresses and the warriors of the country have died of love sickness. But of course, those like Elder Neon and Shaki avoided death by leaving the country. So I think there will be some sort of Void Century parallel there, or at least some Void Century explanation. But yeah, until then, it's just a complete and utter mystery, right? It's like one of those things in One Piece where it's like, okay, will Oda tackle this more in depth, or is it just gonna be a thing we accept? Is it just one of those things where like, oh yeah, love sickness, that just exists on Amazon Lily and Amazon Lily alone? Another thing I find kind of sad about this is that since we see Gloriosa in this chapter, and since we see that she has a crush on Roger, we know that the crush doesn't work out, right? Like, we know that Roger does end up getting with Port-Gasti Rouge, so Gloriosa gets the short end of the stick, unfortunately. I wonder if she ever does find love on the side. Like, since Roger ended up choosing someone different altogether, does Gloriosa cling to another person, or does she just call it quits on love altogether? I am kind of curious about that, right? And also, even though Roger isn't romantically interested in Gloriosa, I still like to imagine that he's great friends with her, which could lead to the whole reason why Roger and Rocks have a rivalry in the first place. Like maybe Roger was upset that Gloriosa was taken by Rocks forcefully, and this could explain why Roger said that he was pent up for the past year, leading up to God Valley. So we go on and we see that the Roger pirates end up approaching the Kuja pirates out at sea. And a young Goldie Roger, a young Roger without a mustache, it's kind of cursed looking at him like this, because it's funny, like, we started with Roger being executed, and then we went back, and it's like him in his prime, after he found the One Piece. We go even more back, and then it's him at God Valley, and then we go even more back, and here we are today. He just keeps on getting younger and younger, brother. But yes, we have Roger on the loudspeaker saying, "Today is the day we will finally win her from you. We're taking your first mate, Shaki." Gloriosa's like, "Hey, Roger, you have me. Why don't you take me instead? Am I not enough for you?" And then, of course, Shaki, being a strong woman, she kicks open the door, and then that is when we get a freaking narrator box. And I guess I'll just read it verbatim. But the narrator says, that they say her every move was captivating. In her presence, flowers wilted, which is really odd. I've never heard of a woman being so beautiful that flowers wilt, but we'll go on. Birds lost their song and people turned against one another. Her beauty even humbled the mightiest of warriors. And that is when we see Scott Brigabon going in for an attack. He gets kicked, and then we have Roger also going in for an attack. But of course, neither of them could connect the blows. I don't think they wanted to, right? Imagine if they actually hit Shaki and she gets scarred. Oh man, they would never live that down. I think their bounty would go up from that alone. Just the Marines would be upset. The people would be upset. They'd hate themselves. Yeah. The Kuja Pirates are, they're a force to be reckoned with. So now that the Kuja Pirates have aptly defeated the Roger Pirates out at sea, they then take all of their treasure. I get it. You know, a hot lady walks around, a hot mamacita. She asks for some money. You kind of just have to do it, right? I can't fault Roger for losing this battle. What's crazy, though, is that the Kuja Pirates don't stop there. They don't just take Roger's money, but they take their food, too. You even see somebody, I don't know who says it. It could be Roger, could be Scott, or could be like a random crewmate. But somebody says, hey, at least let us keep some of the food. Bro, I can't believe Roger's letting it get that far. Okay, money, sure. You can always raid another pirate ship. You can get the money, but food? Brother, you need food to survive, man. That's crazy. So it looks like, I mean, obviously, this has always been a thing with the Amazon Lily Empresses. But it looks like the more you don't care about them, the more they just love you, which kind of seems odd. But, you know, like Luffy and Boa Hancock. Boa Hancock fell in love with Luffy, and Luffy doesn't care about her at all. And then we have Gloriosa and Roger. Roger doesn't care about Gloriosa. Gloriosa loves Roger. And then here we see that Rayleigh is the only guy in Roger's crew that doesn't care about Shaki. And because of that, Shaki sends him off with the heart emoji wink. Yeah, these women, brother, these women. So, we see that the Marines have now showed up as well to the party, and Roger's like, hey guys, let's get out of here. Like, hurry up, loot our ship, and then go. We gotta get out of here ASAP. But somebody mentions that this isn't just any Marine ship, it's Garp's Marine ship. And that is when Roger says, hey, turn around, boys, we're gonna fight them. And that is when we get the intro for Garp and Roger, and they both go in with named attacks. For Garp, he uses Meteor Fist, which is a move we've seen before back at Enies Lobby. Of course, at Enies Lobby, it was a weakened version because he's older, but here it's like a prime Meteor Fist, which is kind of cool. We don't see like the full start of Meteor Fist, which is also odd because Meteor Fist back in the past, that was a cannonball attack, but here it looks like an actual punch. So there is some sort of evolution or change up of the attack. Maybe it's just the way he swings his arm in general. And then for Roger, he uses an attack called Aramitama, which is one of the 4 divine spirits of the Shinto region, which is pretty cool. I think that falls in line with Kamusari, which is divine departure. And because Kamusari is now being used by Shanks, I wonder if Shanks will ever whip out Aramitama as well. Right, kind of fulfilling the whole thing where like, oh yeah, Shanks is Roger's protege. I could definitely see Shanks whipping this out in his arsenal. So what's funny about the panel of Roger and Garp clashing is the fact that it looks like neither of them is exactly serious. Garp looks serious, don't get me wrong. You know, he's just going in. Does he have a cigar? No, that's blood coming out. That's blood coming out. For Roger, it looks like he's hitting Garp with the back of his blade. So he's not actually trying to cut him or slice him. He really just wants to land a blow. To me, at least, when I look at this panel, I can just already tell that they were good friends at this point. Like, yes, they're fighting. Yes, they're pirates and Marines. But at the end of the day, Roger and Garp, they kind of enjoy this rivalry, right? I mean, I feel like if they were dead serious, this would look very different. But of course, we just have a friendly clash here instead. Something I found kind of interesting about this whole segment of the chapter is that when it ends off, it says that soon after this encounter, Shakuyaku was crowned Empress of Amazon Lily, and her popularity continued to grow to an unimaginable level. So the reason why she gets crowned Empress is because I'm assuming Gloriosa steps down. Like I doubt they just usurped Gloriosa. I think that is definitely when Gloriosa got taken in by Roxy Syvduck. But that's just kind of headcanon for now. One thing I thought was really fascinating about that panel with Shaki, though, at the very end, is that if you look behind Shaki, you can see this weird black particle dust sand effect going on. And that isn't the first time we've seen that either. Because going back to chapter... I pulled it up on the side. Did I lose it already? No. Back in chapter 1059, when Boa Hancock talked about leaving Amazon Lily and going to find Luffy, we saw that same weird black particle effect. I thought it was sand at first. I thought it was crocodile sand, and he's coming to recruit Boa Hancock. Could still be the case, but that's just a theory for now, right? So the fact that we have Boa Hancock's panel with that sand, and we also have Shaki's panel with that sand, I just wonder what that's all about. Oh yeah, and not just them, I almost forgot to mention this too, but Gloriosa had that same effect when she was first introduced in this chapter. So what is with these Amazon Empresses and this particle effect thing? Is it like love pheromones? Is that it? Like it's the love beauty pheromones just in the air? Because that could be a genuine answer, but I'm just not too sure. Like it looks so ominous back there, man. We're now located in Ida's Tavern, and we see that Loki has just been resuscitated after capsizing in Elbaf water. That is right, Loki stole a fisherman's ship, tried to set sail, and he just crashed right away. Yeah, Ida, Loki, Harold, this whole interaction is just so silly, right? Ida's like, hey Loki, why don't you live with us? Which would have been great like maybe 10 years ago. But, of course, at this point in time, Loki is now steeped in darkness. He's all about Roxy Syvduck, so he says, no, Ida, I'm not gonna join you and your dirty-blooded son. You're just a gold-digging whore. You know, you just want to be with me so that you can go back to the castle. It's crazy what he's saying to her. You know, Hiruden is trying to stand up for his mom's honor. He's saying, hey, screw you, Loki. Even Harold is like, hey, Loki, that's a little bit too far, brother. But Ida, on the other hand, is just laughing it all off. She says, oh, wow, aren't kids just the cutest? What I found really fun about this whole scenario is that this is the first time we've seen Ida and Loki actually interact. It feels like a long time in the making, right? Considering we've been in this flashback for a while, but this is their first genuine meetup. And it's funny because, you know, this ties back to the Mosa theory. Because one of the requirements of Mosa was that Mosa apparently has never met Loki before. They've never met face to face. So people were saying, hey, you know, since Ida has not seen Loki in the manga yet, there's a chance that she could be Mosa. But now that they've met face to face, I think that theory does go down a couple of levels. Another character we see in this segment is Mato. Yes, that is right. Mato makes an appearance, and here in the flashback, she is still just a little kid. If you guys are wondering who Mato is, Mato current day is the barmaid in Ida's Tavern. She's the one who served liquor to Shanks and the gang. She's also the one who gave juice to Colin and food to Colin. So yeah, it's cool seeing that Oda is tying her in here. And that is when we cut back over to Roxy Syvduck. And this guy, dude, I mean, it's not even Rox alone. I just feel like his entire crew garners so much hype. They're just all so freaking epic. So we see that several months have passed since Rox's crew took over Hachinosu. And we see that Hachinosu is still not fully developed yet, right? It's still just a giant rock. It doesn't have the skull features yet. And I was like, okay, how does it get the skull features? What goes on? Turns out that Rox just simply punches a hole through it, you know? Rox is the one who made the island look like a skull, which is kind of funny. So we see that because Rox's crew is filled with so many high-level players and all-stars just want to keep on joining. And we see that a certain character makes their debut appearance in the series. We've heard about this guy for a while. Now, we didn't know who he was, but we have him here. We got Kyo the Wicked, Kyo the Gangster, Kyo the Hitman, Kyo the Yakuza. And in the future, this man will later be known as Silver Axe. And what a freaking design. Bro, why does he look so cool? Dude, these Rocks pirates do not miss. Like, I'm not even trying to, like, glaze that hard, but genuinely, there's not, like, a bad-looking Rocks crew member. I mean, look at Big Mom in her prime, you know? Even Streusen looks kind of gangster, man. I don't know, dude. I do not know. Like, at what point, because I've seen this, man. You know, I've said that I've been a big fan of Roxy Syvduck. You know, back in this era, I think he has the best pirate crew. And I've seen a lot of people saying it's recency bias, right? It's because it's their flashback. It's because we're seeing them. But it's like, yo, at what point does recency bias end? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks? I don't know, man. It's been 4 weeks. You know, it's been 4 weeks, and the crew, the Rocks gang, man, they just do not miss yet. And the thing is, we've known about these guys for a while. It's not like a brand new thing, like, oh, the Rocks pirates just popped into the story. No, dude, we've heard about these guys since Sengoku talked about God Valley. Ever since they dropped Rocks' name, he's kind of been up there. And now they're finally getting all this. Yeah, of course, man. I mean, the Rocks gang is just so freaking cool. They're literally aura personified. So yeah, I think, you know, if I had to pick a team, because I've seen a lot of people debating about Roger and Rocks. I mean, Roger, of course, still the Pirate King. But I'm not gonna lie, dude, if I had to pick a side, Rocks' crew is just, it's selling me, dude. It's selling me. So, we see that with the Silver Axe reveal, we also learn that apparently he is Shiki's rival. Which is interesting, right? How did the rivalry start? And not just that, but they also have the same epithet. You know, go back to the last chapter. Shiki was called Shiki the Wicked or Shiki the Yakuza, depending on which translation you're looking at. And it's like, yo, like, did these guys grow up in the same area? You know, does this guy have ties to even Wano? Because Shiki itself is a Japanese name. We do know that Wano characters do follow a Japanese naming scheme. So with Silver Axe finally making his debut here, he could just be another character that grew up with Shiki in Wano. If that theory does have some plausibility to it, right? Because right now, a lot of people are saying that Shiki is the unmarked grave that Yamato's going to. But it could be this guy as well, if we're following that same thought line. Like, oh, like, person not from Wano, being raised in Wano, so they have a Wano name. Like, Kyo is, of course, a Japanese name, so I think it could fit. I even think this could be one of the reasons why, if Kyo is the grave that Yamato's going to, I think this could be a reason why Oda delayed the cover page story. So that when we get to the cover page next week, they're like, oh, it's Kyo's grave. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. So this guy's dead. Gotcha. Which would make sense, right? Because we are in the past currently. So yeah, I thought that was really fascinating. And I'm surprised I haven't heard any theories beforehand that Silver Axe and Golden Lion Shiki might be related. Right? Like gold, silver, like it was kind of right there. I mean, hell, like we have that with Gold Roger, Silver Israeli, Scopper, Copper Gaban. Hell, even Naruto does that with Ginkaku and Kinkaku. So it's like, whoa, like silver and gold. We should have just pieced it together. I doubt we would have known that there were rivals, but we should have known that there was something there, right? Especially when they're in the same crew. What's funny to think about, too, is that since this guy is Shiki's rival, I thought he would come here to fight Shiki or fight the Rocks Pirates. But no, you know, he just wanted to join the gang, which I guess, man, I guess. Like they said, this is the League of Evil. Is that what they said? Yeah. The Rocks Pirates are the ocean's all-stars of evil. They know it. They know they're villains, brother. I love it. So, we cut over to Rocks after he has now blown the holes through the rock. Kind of crazy to say. Through the rock, blow holes through the rock. Okay. He says that there are 2 devil fruits that they are currently after. One of them is most likely on Elbaf, and it will only show its true power if Harold eats it. All right. Theory time. What is the legendary devil fruit of Elbaf yet again? We've talked about this many, many times. Personally, I am on the boat that it's the sun god Nika fruit. I know. Boo, so you've talked about this already? Yeah, I know. But I feel like I always have to reiterate it and why I think it is the sun god Nika fruit. And that's just simply because it's Elbaf, man. You know, Elbaf worships the sun god. They've had this devil fruit being passed down from generation to generation. I think it just makes sense if the sun god Nika fruit is what is coveted there. what they've been holding on to. And not just that, as far as Herald being the one to unlock its full power, it could be because the Giants know about the Sun God, because they worship the Sun God. They have the Harley text. Since they have that much knowledge about Nika, yeah, of course, they could probably utilize it better than just Luffy from day one, right? Luffy did not know Nika, so he just thought he had the Gumu Gumu no Mi. It's one of those things. Another reason why I think it could be the Sun God Nika Devil Fruit is because of the timeline. Herald died 14 years ago. The Devil Fruit got stolen 14 years ago. 1 year later, Shanks attacked Cypher Pole, got the Gumu Gumu no Mi - Sun God Nika Fruit, brought it all the way to the East Blue, and then Luffy ate it. The timeline just matches. But it's hazy though, right? Because current day, we heard that Loki was the one who ate the Devil Fruit. So where does Loki fit into this? Does he have a Devil Fruit? Did he eat the legendary one? And if he did, how? There was a different guy in the treasury room looking at the Devil Fruit. So what happened? Did Loki walk in, kill the guy, and then eat the Devil Fruit? It's up in the air, brother. That is why we have to keep on cooking up these theories. I still very much like the idea that Loki has a Devil Fruit, but I just don't know how that would work. Because we'd have to add more onto the flashback. Like, okay, the guy took the Devil Fruit, maybe they set off to sea, and then Loki chased them, and then he killed them, and then he ate it. I don't know where we're going with this yet. And then as far as, the fruits, right? I've seen people saying that the 2 Devil Fruits that Rocks wanted are the 2 Devil Fruits that Blackbeard currently has. The Gura Gura no Mi and the Yami Yami no Mi. I like that, because that would put Blackbeard, on the stepping path towards Rocks' goal, but then we'd have to wonder what Devil Fruit was in Elbaf, right? If it is the Gura Gura and Yami Yami, which one of those 2 was in Elbaf and was the legendary Devil Fruit? And we're also saying that Loki, again, did not eat any Devil Fruit if that's the case. And then how did Whitebeard end up with the Elbaf legendary Devil Fruit? Or how did Thatch end up with it? There's just so many weird pieces right now on the board, and I'm just not too sure where they would all fall in. So funny enough, I held a poll. Because like I said, I always say this, but I am just one guy, right? My opinions, sure, you guys are coming here for them. But of course, I do see myself as a fish in the pond, right? I'm just another fan of One Piece. One of a million, brother. So I held a poll asking, what was Elbaf's legendary Devil Fruit? I put my theory out there, which is the Sun God Nika Fruit, as one of the options. I put Devil Fruit we've never seen before as another option, and then I put a brand new Devil Fruit entirely as the third option. And it looks like a lot of you guys do lean towards the fact, or the theory, that Elbaf has been holding on to a brand new Devil Fruit entirely. And like I said, I like that idea, but we just have to wonder, where is it today? Does Loki have it right now? And if Loki does have that Devil Fruit, then could that potentially bolster up the idea / theory that Loki will end up joining Blackbeard's crew? Because 2 chapters ago, or I guess even last chapter, we were all talking about that, right? Okay, if Loki has the same goal as Rocks, and Blackbeard has the same goal as Rocks, would they not work together current day? Well, if Loki does have the legendary Devil Fruit that Rocks wanted, maybe. Maybe Blackbeard goes up to Loki and he says, hey, Loki, we need you. You have that Devil Fruit. You gotta join us. Because I think that would be really interesting. But like I said, I'm not too sure where we're going with this yet. I do think one of the 2 Devil Fruits, though, without a shadow of a doubt, is the Yami Yami no Mi. Right? We go back all the way to when Blackbeard killed Thatch, and he said that that was the one Devil Fruit he was waiting for. So it's yeah, I think that's definitely one of them right there. And as far as the other Devil Fruit, like I said, it's up to you guys. I personally am leaning towards the Sun God Nika Fruit. I think that just makes the most sense to me, at least, right? You got the Sun Devil Fruit on one end, and then you got the Darkness Devil Fruit. You put them together, and then boom, it is the WG's worst nightmare in a bag. So, it's not just the Devil Fruits, though, that Roxy, Xebec, and the gang are after. They're also after the Galila Giants, and that is dropped by Captain John. Dude, Captain John, man, in his prime, in the flesh. Ooh, yeah. Aura, man, aura. So, as far as Rocks wanting the Gallilaw Giants, I think that just makes a lot of sense. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the theory that the Gallilaw Giants are the ones who built Pluton. They're the ones who left the blueprints to the current Gallilaw. They're possibly the ones who built the Noah's Ark and maybe even Uranus. So Rocks wanting these guys, I think, just further boosts up that theory that these guys are connected to ancient weapons. Of course, though, tying these back to present day, Blackbeard just got intel about the ancient weapons from Caribou. So we could have another parallel there, which is pretty freaking awesome. As far as the Gallilaw Giants go, though, the Rocks Pirates have no idea even where to start looking. Big Mom said that she's sending out a lot of scouts and trying to get some information about them, but nobody's heard about frozen giants. Even Whitebeard chimes in, and he says, hey, even if we find them, they might just be corpses now. Like, who's to say they'll even help us out? Strusen says exactly, there's no way to bring them back. And what's funny about this is that, going back to Blackbeard again, Blackbeard has Kuzan in his gang. Bro, if Blackbeard knows where to look for the Gallilaw Giants, Kuzan could easily unthaw them and they'd be a-okay. Like, this is all just slam dunks for Blackbeard, brother. So, we cut over to another new Rocks crewmate. We've seen this guy back during God Valley, but we finally have his name. He is the Pirate Barbell. And he is a catfish fishman. My favorite! Dude, I think, it's a recency bias, but I do think Barbell is one of my favorite fishmen. In terms of, species-wise, right? I think there's other cooler fishmen. I think Jinbei's still up there. Arlong is still up there. But Barbell being a catfish? Ooh, that hits home. I live in Oklahoma. There's a lot of catfish here. Whenever I go fishing over at, Lake Hefner or something, bro, there's, catfish out the wazoo. Like Arcadia, nothing but catfish. I mean, Barbell, I look at this guy and I see home personally. So, it's really cool. He says that even if they did come back to life, though, the Gallilaw Giants have no reason to listen to us, which makes sense, right? Imagine being unthawed and you see this group of pirates near you. Yeah, I probably wouldn't build these guys a ship, right? What's funny about Barbell is that somebody commented this, and I didn't even put the pieces together too, but they said that, hey, could there be a potential connection between Barbell in the Rocks Pirates and Sunbell from the Roger Pirates? Honestly, yeah, I think there could be a connection there. Sunbell, funny enough, he didn't really get anything from the latest SPS where Oda broke down the crewmates. But yeah, I think Sunbell and Barbell could be related just because of the bell in their name, because they're existing in the same era. Sure, I think that is actually pretty decent. I do want to go a little bit further, though. And I wonder if Barbell or even Sunbell have connections to current fishmen we know of. Like, what is Barbell's relationship with Fishman Island? To maybe even Fisher Tiger or Jinbei or Arlong. Of course, this is still before their era and before most of them are even born. But I think it would be cool knowing that Barbell knew them as kids. Like, hey, I'm going to go teach young Jinbei how to fight. Or, ooh, young Arlong, let me teach you the ways of Roxy Zebek. I don't know. I just want more lore about Barbell, man. He's instantly become one of my favorite Rocks Pirates member. I love dumb-looking characters. So when it comes to Barbell, Wang Ji, I love those goobers. And also, I like epic designs, so, Silverax is also pretty awesome. So, glazing aside, the next person we see is, of course, a young Kaido. And he says, can't we just use our strength to force the giants to obey? And we could do the same thing with that Herald guy, too. That is when we see Roxy Zebek kick Kaido. It kind of looks like he's using Honky, but I doubt it's Honky. I think it's just like a comic effect there. But Rock says, never say that again, brat. Herald is my good pal. I will crush you if you ever say that crap again. Bro, what? Is this Luffy? Don't talk shit about my crew, man. Don't talk bad about my friends. Oh my god. Dude, we got so much personality out of Rocks. I love that. Because that is something I was wondering about. Like, going back to earlier in the chapter, when we heard that Rocks kept on going to Elbaf time and time again to recruit Herald, it's like, why doesn't he just, I don't know, take Elbaf by force? If he wants the Devil Fruit, why not take the Devil Fruit by force? it's not because, he wants King Harold to eat it 100%. No. It's because he likes King Harold. So yeah, it just works out that way. So yeah, I do have a lot of respect for Rocks in that manner. Like, at first he comes off as a guy who does not care about anything, but he does have a soft spot in his heart. And I think that right there is what really sold him for me. Of course, like I said, I always kind of liked Roxy Syvduck, but I think that line was like, whoa, you know what? Rocks is definitely an A-tier character, for sure, without a doubt. So we go on to the final page, and we see the whole Rocks gang aura farming. They're all posed up, ready to conquer the world, and Rocks drops the speech. He says, Elbaf is the key to bringing down the Holy Land. If any of you don't buy that, then get lost. It's your choice if you want to stand with me on the day of destiny. But if you've got the guts, then follow me. I will take you to the world's summit, brother. It's so sad. I kind of wish that the narrator box from last chapter didn't say that Rocks would never come back here. Because I want him to go there again. Like, dude, imagine this gang up in the Holy Land. Dude, the chaos they would cause. When we get that God Valley flashback, I can't wait to see who these guys get paired up against. Obviously people are saying that Whitebeard fought for Garland because of the whole Shanks line. Kaido maybe tried to fight Roger, then got whooped. Rocks is fighting potentially Roger and Garp at the same time. But like for Big Mom, who is Big Mom fighting? Wang Ji. Who is Wang Ji fighting? Gloriosa? Trusin? Like, man, these matchups gonna go crazy. And then Shiki. Who is Shiki fighting, brother? And then Barbell, my boy. Which, speaking of Barbell, in that last panel, you can actually see his hair and what it's like. And, it's on fire. Barbell has Sun God Nika hair. Does he have a devil fruit, or is that just like a natural thing? Because, hey, I don't know if you guys have seen catfish before, but catfish do not have hair like that, brother. So yeah, something's going on with him. I think it is just regular hair, though, because when we see him at God Valley, he's like bald. I mean, I guess that could just be a devil fruit then, right? God, it does look like he has the Sun God Nika fruit. I know that's not the case, but still, like, I'm looking at him, and that's just Nika hair. What is going on with that? Maybe he has the Mare no Mi. You know how crazy that would be? A fishman with the Mare no Mi. Would you take damage from that? I guess not. Sabo said the flames aren't hot, so I guess you'd be fine. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Also, speaking of the Mare, he has Ace's bead necklace. What the hell? Does he have the Mare? No. That's just silly, right? That's just silly. But hey, that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out this video. I really freaking appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts on the chapter down below, because in a few days I will be going through and reading through the comment section. So if you drop a comment, there's a good chance I'll probably read it in the next video. But until then, that is it for today, y'all. And let me see here. Shameless plug time. Yeah, shameless plugs. I do have a second YouTube channel over at Syvduck. That right there is my gaming channel, so feel free to check that out. I also stream over on Twitch every other night at Syvduck as well. And of course, I have an anime reaction channel here on YouTube at Somnus Reacts. So, yeah, check it out if you have some time. But besides that, though, you guys take care. I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, and stay safe, brothers.